Hello, everybody. This is Menopause Taylor bringing you the state of menopause in the world today. And I'm going to bring you another informative tutorial on options for managing your menopause your way. And if you're listening to these broadcasts in order, you know that I've already given you some broadcasts on vitamins and minerals for menopause, and there are still a bunch of options that aren't really vitamins or minerals, but they're actually closely related to vitamins and minerals, and they're called dietary supplements. So most people lump dietary supplements in with the vitamins and minerals and maybe even with herbs. But for purposes of specificity, I separate everything. And so today I'm going to teach you some things about dietary supplements specifically for menopause. I want you to know what falls in which category. So for purposes of separation from all the other categories of options for menopause, dietary supplements include all of the following: amino acids, fatty acids, enzymes, and phospholipids. Now, you probably have heard people talk about many dietary supplements, and most people use them to augment their diets or maybe to help alleviate one particular symptom or medical problem. But what I'm going to do today is discuss only those dietary supplements that pertain to menopause. You see, I try to help you get all the information you need for managing your menopause your way in any category of options. Everything goes. I'm completely unbiased. So we're going to discuss dietary supplements, and we'll list the dietary supplements kind of by category. See if you recognize any of these. There's the amino acid group. Have you ever heard of 5-HTP? What about melatonin? SAMe? Maybe glucosamine? MSM? How about alpha lipoic acid? Or maybe you've heard of L-carnitine. Those are all amino acids that are dietary supplements, specifically with application to menopause. And then there are fatty acids. Surely you've heard of omega-6 fatty acids and omega-3 fatty acids. Have you heard of lecithin? And we even have an enzyme that may sound familiar to you. It's coenzyme Q10 or Q10 or CoQ10. So these are the substances I'm going to address today. And what I'll do is I'll just tell you what each one of them can do for purposes of helping you manage your menopause. That's the only thing I'm addressing here. So let's start with 5-HTP. Now, 5-HTP is a substance your body produces, and HTP stands for hydroxytryptophan. It's actually a precursor to serotonin, and serotonin is responsible for happiness. So people use 5-HTP to increase their sense of happiness or to decrease their feelings of depression. And since many women experience depression as a component of menopause, 5-HTP ends up being a very popular dietary supplement at the time of menopause. So just remember that the H in HTP stands for happiness. Now, closely related to depression is insomnia, right? Most people who are depressed have difficulty sleeping. And since 5-HTP alleviates depression, it can also alleviate insomnia. So it can be useful for two of the symptoms of menopause: depression and insomnia. Now, the next supplement is melatonin. Melatonin is synthesized in your brain. And melatonin is what makes you drowsy at night. It has to do with your body's time clock. It's what gives you something we call circadian rhythm. It turns on as darkness falls at night, and it turns off when the sun comes up in the morning. But as you age, your brain produces less melatonin. And with less melatonin, you may have trouble getting drowsy at night. So this is why insomnia is one of the major symptoms of menopause. It's one of the reasons that insomnia is one of the major symptoms of menopause. Your brain just doesn't produce the melatonin that signals to your body that it's time to wind down and go to sleep. So many women take melatonin supplements to help them go to sleep. Now, the key to taking melatonin is timing. It's not a sleeping pill. It doesn't act instantly. It takes time to act on your body. So you have to take melatonin about 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. You can't take it and expect to fall asleep right away. It just doesn't work that way. And of course, by extension, if you do get a good night's sleep, you aren't going to be as fatigued the next day. So actually, melatonin ends up helping reduce your fatigue in addition to your insomnia. Okay, moving on to the next supplement. Have you ever heard of SAMe? Now, SAMe is an acronym. Everything has an acronym these days, but SAMe is an acronym for S-adenosyl L-methionine, and it's another amino acid, and it's another substance that your body produces. Now, SAMe has 2 different benefits with regard to menopause. First, it improves your mood, and secondly, it reduces joint pain and swelling. Because it improves your mood, SAMe can function as an antidepressant, and actually, it works pretty quickly. More quickly than some pharmaceutical antidepressants. But it doesn't have any of the yucky side effects that are typical of antidepressants. And when it comes to your joints, SAMe penetrates into the fluid around your joints, and that helps increase joint mobility. So you've got SAMe functioning in 2 completely different arenas, both of which help you with your menopause. And then closely related to SAMe is the next amino acid, glucosamine. Now, glucosamine is another dietary supplement that is popular for joint pain and joint stiffness. It keeps your cartilage healthy. You'll find glucosamine in many different forms and in various combinations with other substances that can improve joint health. So you'll find pure glucosamine, glucosamine sulfate, glucosamine chondroitin, glucosamine chondroitin sulfate. And the differences really aren't that significant. So, if you're going to use this stuff, just get whichever one you prefer or whichever one's cheapest or whichever one comes in bulk, however you want to do it. They're all good. And then there's another supplement that people use for arthritis, even though it has little proven benefit for that purpose, and it's MSM. And that is an acronym for methyl sulfonyl methane. Now, MSM has some pain relieving properties, but it's really a very little benefit for joint pain. And it's a common ingredient in supplements for hair loss, but there's really no evidence that it does much for that either. So MSM turns out to be one of those supplements that people hear about, but it really isn't worth much in the realm of menopause. It's mostly all hype and no help with regard to menopause. Next is alpha lipoic acid. Now, this is another one that you don't hear much talk about, but it can actually be beneficial for 2 different aspects of menopause. One is dry skin, and the other is heart attack. As you know, heart attacks are the biggest killer of menopausal women. So that makes alpha lipoic acid a good thing to consider. And I've yet to meet a single menopausal woman who doesn't want to reduce the aging of her skin. So although you may never have heard of it, consider alpha lipoic acid as an option. It's little hype and lots of help as opposed to some of the other ones that we've discussed. And then there's another supplement that improves heart health. It's L-carnitine. And it actually does multiple things to help your heart. It suppresses your triglycerides, increases your healthy HDL, and regulates your heart rate. If you didn't know about L-carnitine before, take note, because it's one of the ones that I think it's worth knowing about. And it's really odd to me how most women only know about one or two of these supplements when in fact there are so many that can benefit them for menopause. But that's because people, spread information by word of mouth. They don't actually do much research these days unless it's surfing the internet for whatever pops up first, which is definitely not research. Okay, so now we go to the fatty acids. Omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9 are probably familiar to you. But the question is, do you know the differences between the three of them? Do you know which you need to consume in higher quantities and which you need in lower quantities? I mean, how do those three fatty acids compare in terms of your health? Which ones are essential and which ones are non-essential? If you had to answer a quiz question on which fatty acids are essential and which ones are non-essential, could you answer it? You see, the problem with similar things is that it's easy to confuse them. But it's actually very easy. There are just two different types of fatty acids, the essential and the non-essential. And the essential fatty acids are the ones your body does not make itself. Well, that's why they're essential, because you have to take them. Taking them is essential. It is essential that you get them from your diet or from a supplement because your body can't make them. And the essential fatty acids are the omega-3s and the omega-6s. Non-essential fatty acids are the ones your body does make itself. So it's not essential that you get them from your diet or from a supplement. And that's the omega-9s. They are non-essential. So this means that you only need to consider omega-3s and omega-6s as supplements. You probably have seen all kinds of supplements at the store that have omega-3, 6, 9. They're including something you don't need. Your body makes it itself. So don't buy what you don't need, okay? Omega-3 fatty acids have 3 benefits for your menopause management. Remember, omega-3, 3 benefits. They can reduce dry skin, joint stiffness and joint pain, and actually breast cancer. And the omega-6 fatty acids are helpful for only one thing, your moods. They decrease mood swings, irritability, and depression. That's all. And I like to keep things really simple for you because it helps you use the information better. And by trying to think of 1, 2, or 3 little simple things, you probably will remember what you want to go buy for your menopause better than if I bombard you with a whole lot of information that you don't need. And the last of the fatty acids is lecithin. Now, lecithin is another one that most people don't talk much about. Lecithin is beneficial for only one single aspect of menopause, but it's a very important one. It's Alzheimer's. Lecithin improves the blood supply to your brain. If you haven't been taking lecithin and you want to reduce your risk of Alzheimer's, lecithin is a good supplement for you. And this is another one that is really shockingly beneficial, but not well known. Just remember, lecithin is your friend. Or think of lecithin, less brain thinning. And that brings us to only one more supplement, which is coenzyme Q10, and everyone uses